Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to our third ELT week. So I wanted to say a good afternoon to all of our participants, everyone who's here with us today watching. All of the teachers and educators are joining us from all across Argentina. And this is a series of webinars offered by the British Council towards professional development of English language teachers. My name is Rob Chatfield. I'm the country director for the British Council in Argentina, and it's my pleasure to be your host for this event. So before we begin, I do need to tell you that safeguarding is a priority for the British Council. So you are welcome and encouraged to share your comments and your questions, but please make sure that you're respectful and positive at all times. We all know at the moment on social media, people come out and people say things that are not very nice, and that's not really what we want in this session today. We want everyone just to participate and to share their ideas. Please don't share any personal or sensitive information, because we'll have to delete that. And any harmful or inappropriate comments will be removed, and you can report any concerns through the email contact we're posting in the chat. Sorry to go on about this, but it's really important. Safeguarding is really important. We want you all to have a nice, friendly experience today. And our goal is to enrich your teaching practices and provide tools to improve education in Argentina. If you wish to receive a certificate of attendance to this session issued by the British Council, you'll be asked to complete a short survey at the end of the week, and it will be shared in the chat box at the end of the last session and sent via email to all registered participants. Please make sure that your name, your surname, your email address are correctly spelt, otherwise you won't get your certificate. So if you participated in our ELT week last year, we discussed the role of artificial intelligence in English teaching and shared different tools and ideas to incorporate artificial intelligence in the classroom. And during the year, we've witnessed how artificial intelligence has contributed to our jobs as teachers, but it's also highlighted the role as educators and leaders. That's what we're going to be discussing this year, the convergence between the tools and the humans to continue to create exciting and positive environments for our students. Now, the thing is that artificial intelligence is here to stay. It's one of these things that I think with many technologies, we get very worried and we get scared about it, or we get scared that it's going to take our jobs away from us. I don't think it will, but I think, we may need to consider that we need to educate ourselves about artificial intelligence because it's going to make us more efficient. I know I use ChatGPT every single day now. It helps me with all sorts of things. And, it's something that I've really added to my toolbox as a manager and as a leader. So now it's time to start learning. I'm going to be quiet and let you get on with the first session. And the first talk today is by our great friend, Pilar Capaul. She's a teacher at International House Buenos Aires and has delivered talks for IHWO, for TESOL, and for the British Council. She creates and shares content for language teachers with the British Council and with Cambridge. She's also creator of @Teachers of English on Instagram, where she shares her daily teaching experiences and practical ideas. So I really hope you enjoy the session today. It's all about AI hacks for teachers, and it's all about tools to save time and to simplify your workload. So enjoy the session. Best of luck, Pilar. Have a great one, and I'll see you all in about an hour. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rob. Thank you for having me today. Hi, guys. How are you doing? So as Rob said, today we're going to be talking about AI. Let's see. I'm sharing my presentation. Can you all see it? Yeah? All right, cool. So the idea for today is the following. There are many AI tools for teachers nowadays. As Rob said, yes, we have ChatGPT. It is amazing, and we're all using it nowadays. But there are also lots of other tools that are really useful for us teachers. And the idea today is to talk about some of them, to see how they work, and to actually use them and see what we can do with them with our students. So before we begin, I wanted to ask you how you feel about AI. I know that some people love it. Some people feel a bit overwhelmed, especially now that we have so many AI tools for teachers. There's one that can create videos. There's one that can create short stories, for example. So I was wondering, how do you guys feel about AI and all these tools that we have nowadays? Do you use them? I can see some people are curious, some people find them useful. Let's see, do you use other tools besides ChatGPT? Okay, some people are still reluctant. Interesting. Many people use ChatGPT. Many people don't use it. All right, cool. Okay. And I also have a question. How do you feel? When it comes to AI, are you like this green guy right here? Do you feel like you can use it with your students? You understand what it is? Do you use it to your benefit? Do you use it to plan lessons, to help you write emails, to communicate with parents, for example? Do you not feel very comfortable with it? Like, you know what it is, but maybe you don't use it every day. You don't understand why people use it so much. Or are you right here? Do you feel like, yeah, maybe it's useful, but I just don't understand it. It's pretty complicated. All right, so we have lots of greens here, which is amazing. Yellow, I don't use it ever. All right, so there's a little bit of everything here. Cool, some people use it, but they're not very comfortable with it. All right, I see. So this is what we're going to do today. There are many, many, many tools for teachers, and today we're going to talk about them. We're going to see how they work, and we're going to use them. But before, do you happen to know these tools? Have you used them before? Maybe you've heard of them, you know what they do, but you haven't used them. Let's see. No, you haven't used them. Some of them, just ChatGPT, only that one. Some of them, not all of them. Yes, some of them. Okay, cool. So this is the thing. Lots of people are talking about AI and all these tools. And I don't know about you guys, but I see all these videos of teachers using them. And I'm like, wait, how do they actually work? How can we use them with our students? So this is what we're going to be talking about today. So these are the tools we're going to be using. And I thought, why don't we put them to the test? And given that, a new school year is right around the corner, why don't we plan our very first lesson for 2025 together? So first of all, we're going to start planning our lesson together. We're going to prepare something for latecomers. It's the very first day. Some people are going to be late. It's okay. It's okay. Someone is not going to find the classroom. Someone will say, oh, I didn't know I have to be here at 8. I thought it was 8:30. I'm so sorry. So it's okay. We're going to prepare something for them. So for this one, we're going to use ChatGPT, the classic. So we're going to ask students, the ones that are there with us, what it is that they are expecting to learn. Like, what do you guys want to learn this year? What questions do you have? Maybe some people will say, okay, so this is, history. So I want to learn about World War. Well, this is my very first time taking an English lesson. So I want to learn how to speak in English. Maybe some people will say, I want to learn about English literature, for example. Many people talk about English literature. Why is it so important? I want to know more about that. Okay, cool. So that's something you're interested in. Fantastic. So now students will have to they will have to come up with a question about that topic, right? And they're going to share it with ChatGPT. The idea is for them to use that to get information, and then they're going to share the answer, the information they get, with the rest of the class, and they will have to try to connect it to our class. So here's an example. Students can share a question. Okay, ChatGPT, can you tell me about English literature? Why do so many people talk about it? Is it important? Like, why English literature and not, American literature? I always hear about English literature. Are we going to learn about that? Why is it so important? So here we have a good reply, right? We have an answer. We have some reasons why it is important. Something that we can do if we're going to do this with our students is to remind them that context is very important. They don't have to share personal information, but they can make sure their ChatGPT is going to provide them with an answer they're going to be able to understand. So they can say, hey, I'm a 15-year-old teenager. I'm a B2 student, so please make sure I can understand your reply, ChatGPT. And the cool thing is that students can chat with ChatGPT. They can type in their question, or another thing they can do is listen to the reply, because maybe they can actually have a conversation. Let me show you how that works. I know that many people do this already, but just for those of you who never used ChatGPT, so I don't know if you can see my phone very well. There's a white button right here at the end. You cannot see my screen, but it doesn't matter. You just have to see the white button. So I'm going to tap that button. You're going to see this. ChatGPT, I'm a student and I want to know why English literature is so important. Can you tell me?
Sure. English literature is important because it helps you understand different perspectives, cultures, and historical contexts. It also improves...
And it keeps going. So something that students can do is work in pairs, listen to that reply, and start making connections. Okay, how are we going to talk about this year? Are we going to learn about English literature? Are we going to read short stories this year with our teacher? And then they can share that with the rest of the class. Right? That can be a nice activity using AI in the classroom with our students while we wait for everyone to come so that we can begin with our lesson. Now, everyone is here. Finally, everyone arrived. So we're going to actually start with our lesson. So let's go with a warm-up. We're going to use Magic School for this one. Students are going to work in pairs, and they're going to read a sentence stem that we're going to provide them with, and they will have to complete the sentence so that it's true for them. So as you may know already, Magic School has lots and lots and lots of really useful tools for teachers. So we can just go right here to the search bar, type in sentence starters, and it's going to look like this, as you can see. So here we have the grade level, and then we can just write about the topic we want to discuss with our students. As you can see, it's a very vague description. I just want to know how their summer was. I want my students to get to know each other. I want my students to start sharing some things about themselves. I want to see if they have some things in common, so on. So Magic School is going to come up with some sentence starters for me. And now I'm going to copy them. I can edit them if I don't like them or if I think they're not appropriate. I can regenerate them, of course, if I want to. And we're going to use this as a warm-up. We're going to start talking about our summer, our free time, and everything. And I wanted to add something, because we are teachers. We can absolutely do this ourselves. That's absolutely true. But many of us work with 10 classes, 12, 15. And sometimes it's very difficult to find the time to type in all the things we want to do with our students, right? So AI can do it for us. We can edit all the things that we don't like, obviously, but now we have something to work with, and this took like 5 seconds. So something that students can do is complete, maybe they can take some minutes individually, complete the sentences, they can share their answers with a classmate, and they can start seeing if they have some things in common. For example, I was excited to see my friends again after the summer break because I miss them, and I have lots of things to share with them because I went to the beach, for example, and things like that. And they can start trying to find things they have in common, right? And then they can share that with the rest of the class. So that's a very nice speaking activity to get to know each other, to start using their English again, and to begin our very first lesson of the year. All right, cool. So we're all here. We've been talking a little bit about our summer. We know we're all okay. We get to know each other a little bit. Now I want to work a little bit on reading. So to work on reading, we need lots of things. We need a text. We need activities, comprehension activities, follow-up activities. So let's see how we can use AI to do that. So for this one, we're going to use the Diffit. I don't know if you've used it before, but this one creates resources that are just right. They are appropriate for students' level. So let's see how it works. This is what the site looks like. So you can go right here where it says literally anything. So you just enter a topic, you customize your resources right here. Like you just have to select your student's level and so on. and you generate resources for them. You can also share links to articles or YouTube videos if you want to. You can upload texts or PDFs or even vocabulary lists. So there are lots of things that we can do with it. Today we're going to go with this one, literally anything, because I want to create, I need a text to use with my students. So I thought, let's start with a short story, and we're going to talk about our summer, right? So let's keep on going with that topic. So I just wrote short story, teen who had an amazing summer and is now back at school. So I clicked right here where it says generate resources. And now I have my short story. So teen who had an amazing summer and is now back at school. So I have a reading passage. If I read it and I think it's not appropriate for my students, I can edit it, of course. I have something to work with already, which is good. I can regenerate it if I want to. And if not, I can just copy it and paste it and print it, and I'm ready to go to school. And if I don't like it, as I said before, you can regenerate it. And take a look. I wrote the very same prompt, but now I have a different story. So if you ever end up with some output that you don't like, you can just regenerate it until you find what you're looking for or something that you think your students are going to be interested in. So let's go back with this very first story that I showed you. So we have a short story, right? We also have a summary, which we may want to use or not. That's okay, but we have it. Then we can see what we want to do with it. We have a list of key vocabulary words that we can use, maybe as a pre-reading activity, or for a pre-reading activity, we might want to use them, right, to create something. We also have a set of multiple choice questions. We can use them or not, that's okay, but we have them. Maybe they can inspire us to do something later. We have some short answer questions in case we don't want to use the multiple choice ones. And we also have some open-ended prompts that we can use for a follow-up activity. So for example, here it says that Aiden, the main character, he felt like he stood out. So have you ever felt like you didn't fit in, for example? So there are some really nice activities that we can use with this story if we like it. And of course, if we don't like something, we can edit it. Now, so we have the text. I have everything I need. Now I'm going to start creating the activities that I want to work on with my students. So I want to start by working on a reading for gist activity. I want my students to focus on the general idea, and that's it. I don't want to overwhelm them. So activity number 1, I would like my students to read the title of the story and pick the emoji they think represents the mood of the main character throughout the story. Now, this is the thing. The story didn't have a title, but that's okay, because as we said before, we can edit everything. Now we have a title, right? So now that we have it, let's go with it again. Let's go again. So now, yes, we have a story with a title. So read the title of the story, pick the emoji you think represents the mood of the character throughout the story. That's the first activity. So students can work in pairs, they can work in groups, they can start sharing ideas. So for example, you say, okay, a summer to forget, lessons to remember. Right, so maybe this emoji right here can be a good one, because I mean, if you want to forget about it, maybe it wasn't a good summer. Oh wait, maybe this last emoji right here, yeah, I think this one might be a good one, right? Okay, yeah, let's go with this one. Yeah, so this one. So they worked a little bit on speaking, they shared their ideas, cool. Now they had to read the story and check their predictions. And now we can work on reading comprehension. Okay, so you thought that the emoji where the crying emoji was going to represent the mood of the character. Were you correct? No, actually we were not, because the character is actually okay. Like, he's not sad or anything. So now they can start sharing their ideas. They're going to focus on the main idea. They're not going to be overwhelmed by the details. We're going to work on that, but not yet. And this is a nice way to start working on with the text. Now that we have the main idea, I want to focus on the details. Okay, now we know what we're talking about, we know where we are, we know how the main character, Aiden, is feeling. So something that we can do to work on reading for detail is answering questions, right? We do this all the time. Usually course books come with a text and then some questions. Students read the text and then they answer the questions. That's pretty cool, right? But why don't we make it a bit more interesting? And maybe we can create some images based on the story, and students have to take a look at those images and describe what's going on. So instead of answering questions, they can say, okay, I associate this image with this and this thing, for example. So let's see how we can do this. For this one, we're going to use Bing's image generator. This is what the platform looks like. So basically what we have to do is enter a prompt. Here you have one. And then we just have to click here where it says create. Something that we have to pay attention to are the credits that we have. This is a free platform, but you do have some credits. And once you run out of them, you have to wait for like 48 hours. I think it's like 24 hours. So make sure that if you're going to enter a prompt, it's the one that you really need. So as you can see, I copied the very first sentence from the story. I pasted it here, I clicked on create, and now I have 4 different images. This is Aiden, the main character of the story. So now I can copy the one I like best, and I can use it to create an activity where students have to go back to the story and write about the things they can see. How can you connect this image with the things that happen in the story? Right? I mean, they can also answer questions, but this is a more interesting alternative, let's say. And this is the thing. We have to type in something, right? We need prompts, but we don't necessarily have to write them all over again. We can just come here to the story and start copying different parts of the story and then paste them right there, and we can start generating all the images that we need. We don't have to write everything all over again. So that's something cool. There's no limit when it comes to the words that you use to write your prompts. So here we have 4 moments of the story. I added some prompts for my students, and now they can work in pairs. They have to go back to the story, and they have to start thinking about what's happening in the images that I shared with them. All right, cool. And now we have a follow-up activity. So I used AI to create those images, but I also want my students to be able to use AI. So now they're going to use the very same platform, and they have to create 3 images. One that represents the main character on his very last day of school, one that represents him on his very first day at university or at work, and one that represents him with his loved ones, right? Now, this is the thing. They're going to be using their English, right? They're going to be working in pairs or even in groups. They can use their phones, they can use their computers, tablets, they can use whatever device they have. If they don't have a device, this can be homework. They can do it at home, and then they can tell us about the things they created when we see each other again. And this is the thing. These are all the things they're going to be doing just by completing this follow-up activity. They're going to go back to the story because they have to think, okay, so I have to think of him on his very last day of school. So wait, what was school like for him? So let's go back to the story. They're going to start making connections. So, okay, I'm going to create an image of the main character where he is very happy and surrounded by all his friends. Why? Why surrounded by all his friends? Well, because in the story, it says that he had lots of friends and they got along very well. So the idea is for students to create, they can create whatever they want to create, but they have to start establishing connections. So for example, if they want to create an image where you can see the main character surrounded by his loved ones, and all his loved ones are friends, they have to say, okay, why friends and not family? Is that connected to the story? Why did you infer that? Where did you get that from? So even if we're not focusing on comprehension, we're still seeing how much students were able to get from the story. They're going to create images, and I saw that someone there in the chat talked about the importance of having students create their own prompts. And that's true. They have to think about the grammar, they have to organize their ideas in English, they have to think about the vocabulary they're going to use. Of course, the moment they do this, we can be there with them and help them when it comes to the language they need to use to describe the characters, the things they're going to be doing. So this is a really useful activity, even to learn English, not just how to use AI, but to continue learning English. They then have to write a brief description of that image. Okay, why this one? Why did you decide to create this and not something different? What motivated you to do that? Then they can share their images with their classmates. And that's also a very nice moment to compare their creations. Did you all come up with the same ideas? Did you infer different things? And why? Can you tell me what part of the story made you believe that he was going to, I don't know, become a teacher, become a businessman, for example? So let's talk about the story, and let's also talk about your creations, and let's compare all the things that you've created. So there are lots of things that students are going to be doing just by completing this follow-up activity and using AI. All right, cool. So just in case, I thought we could also add some listening activities because, you know, it's the very first day. Maybe we want to work a little bit on everything, like reading, speaking, listening. So let's see what we can do to work on listening. So there are 3 things we're going to need to work on listening: a text, a video. Well, maybe we don't necessarily need a video, but I do want to use one, and then now I'm going to show you why. And we need a voice. So let's see how AI can help us with this. So I'm going to go back to ChatGPT. I mean, there are lots of platforms that we can use. There's Claude, there's Gemini. There are lots of tools that we can use. There's Copilot. I decided to go with this one because I know it's the one that most people use, but you can use whatever AI chatbot you want to use. So I said, okay, ChatGPT, write a story about a teen who's back at school and write about their very first day at school. Right? So here I have my text. Of course, if I don't like it, I can regenerate it, I can edit it. I am the teacher, so I choose what I'm going to be using with my students. If we don't like something or if we don't think it's appropriate, we can change it. As I said before, it's always useful to share a lot of context, not private information, but context with ChatGPT. For example, this is a private bilingual school. This is a state-run rural school, for example. So the more information you share, the better. Tell ChatGPT about your students. Are they very talkative? Are they, what level do they have? Do they read often? So start sharing all those things so that ChatGPT also knows what you're expecting. So now we're going to create a video because I really want to use one, but I don't feel like writing another prompt. So let's see, ChatGPT. So I have my story, fantastic. Now I want you to write one very complete sentence that I can share with another AI that creates videos. So it creates the visuals that I can use later with my students. So here I have a summary, right, of the story. Cool. So now we just have to copy that. And now we're going to head to Clickify. This is another AI tool, and it creates videos for us. Quite short, I have to say, but it's all we need. Now I'm going to show you why. So as you can see, here we're going to paste the prompt. It's literally like the prompt ChatGPT provided me with. I didn't even change it. So there we have it. I just want to create one video and only one. I don't need more. Something that we have to keep in mind, this platform is also free. I mean, we can use it for free, but it also works with credits. So if you're going to create something, make sure you have the right prompt. There we go. And this is the video it provided me with. Take a look. It's very short, no sound. I just wanted a video. That's it. That's all I needed. If you want to create something longer, you can. But now you're going to see why. I just wanted to create something very, very short, right? There we go. So now we need a voice. We can read the text aloud. Of course, we're the teachers. We can always do that. But I want to add something, right? So we're going to head to this platform called 11 Labs. I'm going to paste the story that ChatGPT provided me with. And here we go. Something to pay attention to. This one also works with credits, so be careful. Make sure that if you use it, you're using the right story, the right prompts. We're going to click right here where it says generate speech. And the cool thing is that we can change the voice. There's this style exaggeration tool that we can play with if we want to. We can play the recording, and if we like it, we can download it, which is very useful. So even if we know we're not going to have a very stable Wi-Fi connection, we can still download the recording and use it with our students. So that's something interesting to keep in mind. And let's see, are you ready to see what we can do with all this? Let's see. So activity number 1, we're going to do the same thing we did before when we worked on reading. I just want to listen for the gist. I don't want to overwhelm my students with lots of details and vocabulary. So we're going to start with a listening for gist activity. And all they have to do is watch the video and connect it to the story we read before, to Aiden's story. So students are going to watch the video and they can say, for example, okay, so I can see there's teenagers they are at school. So that's connected to the story that we read before. They all seem to be happy and sharing things. So maybe it's their very first day back at school also. They all seem to be happy. They're all, with friends. Aiden also had friends. So now we can start making all these connections, right? So there we go. Now, students have to listen to the recording that goes with the video, and they have to say they were right. So before we said, okay, maybe it's their first day back at school. They're all friends. They're having a good time. They are talking about things from their summer, things they did, I don't know, trips, whatever. Now let's listen to the recording and you guys tell me if it's really their first day back at school. You tell me if they are really friends. You tell me if they are really talking about their summer. And you tell me if they are really happy or surprised or whatever. So now we can listen.
The first day of something new.
Can you see? Oh, there we go.
The first day of something new. Lena stared at the school in front of her, its tall brick walls looming like something from a movie. She felt the usual first day jitters. Her palms were sweaty.
It sounds really nice, doesn't it? Sounds really nice and very natural also. So now students can say, okay, maybe I got it wrong. So it is their first day at school, but they are not friends. They actually just met. So now we can start talking about the main ideas, right? We can start talking about their predictions and what actually happens. Cool. Now I want to work on the details. I want to talk about that. We already know what's going on. We have the main idea, but I want to focus on the details. So I'm going to ask my students to start working in groups or in pairs, and I want them to pick one part of the story, right? So for example, someone will want to, a group is going to focus on the moment they describe the school because they love the school. Cool. Another group or another pair can focus on Lena's description, who she is, where she comes from, why she is there at school. Another person or another group can maybe focus on the problem, like the most interesting part, right? The thing they have to solve. So they're all going to pick different parts of the recording. We're going to listen again, and we can listen to it as many times as students need. And they're going to take down notes. They're really going to focus on that section and that section only. And they're going to focus on everything they consider important. Physical description or the description of the school, the way they were feeling. They're going to focus on all the details that are important. And they're going to use that to write a prompt. And they're going to use the very same platform that we used before. And they're going to create their own video. And they are going to choose how to represent that one part of the story, right? So it's very similar to the one we did before. Now students are going to work together. They're going to think about the vocabulary that they want to use, the language. They're going to use their English for this. And once they are ready, they're going to share the video with the rest of the class and explain why they decided to create it that way. So we wanted to focus on Lena because she's the main character. We think that she's really happy to be there. She's super excited about all the people she's going to meet and all the things she's going to be doing. And they can start talking about all the things that came to their mind while they were listening to that story. Another thing that's also cool, and I don't know, guys, if this happens to you, but it happens to me quite often, that usually when we work on speaking or I don't know, like oral presentations, students, and especially teens, they usually read. Like they have their notes and they read them. And I don't want them to read. I want them to just talk, and share things. So what better way to do that than instead of allowing them to have their notes, you are allowing them to have a video. So whatever you want to share, it's in the video you created. You don't need your notes. Just tell us about the process. Why this video? Why Lena? Why the school? Why do you decide to focus on this and all that? So it's a really good way to also help students whenever, they don't feel very comfortable speaking in front of people and they need to have their notes with them and they start reading. Oh no, just tell us about the video. You don't need to memorize anything. Just tell us about the process and your ideas, the things that came to your mind as you were listening. So it can be a good idea, to work on speaking also. All right. Now we have a follow-up activity. And for this one, we're going to use a platform called Character AI. And basically, it's just a chatbot with lots of chats, and students can just have a conversation with different characters. And they have to pay attention to the instructions and the setting because look at this. Here we have one that I picked for my students. It says, you're an exchange student and it's your very first day at school. So you went straight from the airport to school and you haven't met your host family. So you're there, looking for someone who can help you. So now students have to start the conversation and use their English to have a chat. They can do this individually, they can do this in pairs or even in groups. They can start organizing their ideas together. No, wait, first we have to greet people and we have to introduce ourselves. And wait, who are we? And now they're going to start working on that. They're going to start thinking about the language they're going to use, the vocabulary they need. So there's a lot to do with it. Something that you can do, and I really recommend this, this is important. You, teacher, go to Character AI and pick the chatbots you want your students to use, because there's a little bit of everything, I have to say. So I would make sure, especially if you're working with teens or kids, there are appropriate chats, but you need to find them. So I would find the character they can use and share the link to that chat directly. Something to keep in mind. And the cool thing is that once they are done, if we happen to have some extra minutes, something that we can do is ask our students to tell us about the conversations they had. And they can also start comparing not just the content that they shared, but also the language they used for that. So for example, they have to start talking about their very first day at school. So maybe some students are going to talk about their very first day at school. So I'm here. It's my very first day here. I used to go to another school, so it's my first day here. Everyone seems to be lovely. Maybe some of them want to pretend to be Lena or Aiden from the stories they read, and they are going to use that content to have a conversation. That's also a possibility. Why not? And they can compare the things that happened, the information they shared, the chats they had with a classmate, and then with a group, and then with the rest of the class. So we can keep going. And again, we can make a huge list of useful language that they use to introduce themselves, to greet people, to ask for help, for example. And that's a really interesting way to learn and to have students asking questions, like, how do I say this? How do I say that? How do I introduce myself? It's one thing is to say, here you have 10 phrases you can use to introduce yourself. And another thing is to have students say, okay, how do I do this? And can you help me with this? What phrase can I use to do this, this, and that? So it's another way to go about it. That can be very interesting for students. All right, so we got to know each other a little bit. We talked about our summer. We worked a little bit on reading. We worked a little bit on listening. So now it's time to say goodbye. We are going to use an exit ticket. All right. So we're going to use quizzes for this one. Quizzes has been around for a very long time, so I'm sure most of you know it already. But today we're going to be using the AI tool it comes with. And this is the thing. The idea is to create a quiz to see how much students were able to understand. All right, so we're going to click here where it says assessment, here where it says generate with AI, right? And we're going to paste the stories that we use today, right? We're using those stories because those are the ones that we use, but you can paste any other text that you have. And Quizzes AI is going to create a quiz for us, right? Now, this is the thing. If we don't like the questions or they are not addressing the topics that we want to address, we can edit them, of course, but at least we have something to work with, right? We can continue adding some similar questions if we want to, add some more questions and to keep going. Something that's really interesting, we can go here, we can click here, and we can add answer explanations. This is really cool if you happen to run out of time and students end up doing this at home because, maybe they click on an answer and it says that it's wrong, and they can be like, but why is that wrong? I don't think that's wrong. But if they can see the reason why that answer is wrong, they'll be like, oh, yeah, that's true. I totally forgot about this thing that we talked about in class. So if you feel like you're not going to have enough time to do this in class with your students, you can add this to make sure that even if they do it alone, they can still see the reasons why an answer is correct or not. So that's very useful. If you happen to feel comfortable using Google Forms and you're just used to that, you can export all these questions as a Google Forms. And this is the thing. The idea here is not to really test our students. I don't really care if Aiden was 12 or 13, but I do want to see how much they were able to understand. So this is our very first lesson together. It's the very first time we read a text together, that we listen to a story together. I want to see what their level is, if they felt comfortable, if they were able to understand the things we talked about. So maybe what I would do, for example, is edit the answers that we have here. And instead of asking if he was 13, 12, 15, I would say, was he in primary school? Was he in secondary school? So I didn't have to think of the question because AI did it for me. But now that AI gave me this idea, I want to change it because I don't really care about his age. I just want to know if my students were able to understand that he was a secondary school student. Because I don't want to start planning activities saying, okay, this was easy for them. And maybe they just work with a classmate that helped them, so I really want to see how they're doing. So I decided to use this for our very first lesson. And now, before we go home, of course, there's going to be some homework, right? And this is what we're going to do. This year, we're going to work with readers, right? And the school where we work provided us with a very, very interesting list of readers that we can use with our students. I don't know. I mean, I can pick the books we're going to be reading, but I also want to make students part of that process. I want them to share their interests, to tell me what they like doing, what topics they are interested in, what topics they are not interested in. So let's do the following. We are going to do this. I want my students to listen to 3 book summaries, all right? And they have to pick the one they like best. And they also have to make a list of reasons why they like that one book. So you want to read it, cool, we can totally do that, but why, right? And this is also a nice way to see if they were actually able to understand these summaries. So we're going to head to a platform called BeFreed, right? And this one has lots of book summaries and students can listen to them and they're really cool. And the books they have are really well-known ones. So if you happen to be working with well-known stories, you can totally use this one. So I typed there, as you can see, like Animal Farm. I picked the book, one of the options that we have for this year. And this is how it works. Take a look. Let's see.
The vision of Old Major. In the heart of Manor Farm, a gathering of animals took place in the big barn, summoned by Old Major, a wise and aged boar. His voice, though weak from age.
So students can listen to the book summaries. They can read it at the same time if they need to. It's okay. They're going to be alone. And they have to start writing down all the reasons why they like the story and they would like to read it this year. And the cool thing about it is that there's a lot that we can do with it, because then when we see each other again, we can ask them, okay, so first of all, I would like you to work in pairs and share like a brief summary of the 3 stories that I shared with you. They can say, okay, this one was about this, this, and this. This other story was about this, 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 and this, for example. So now we know what all the stories are about. Cool. Now, I would like you to tell your classmate about your favorite story, right? And why is it your favorite one, right? So students can say, okay, I actually like this one because I love animals and I have lots of pets and I want to continue reading. There's actually something really interesting about this story. It talks about, for example. Now they have to tell the class if they had the same idea or not. For example, I want to read Animal Farm because of this, this, and this, but my classmate wants to read, I don't know, some other book like Frankenstein, for example, because of this, this, and that. So they can start comparing their ideas and they can listen to each other also. And then something else that we can do is the moment they share their ideas with the whole group, we can vote, for example. And now they have to persuade each other. No, we have to read Frankenstein because it's a classic and it talks about this, this, and that. Now I want to know what else is going to happen. No, we totally have to read Animal Farm because it's going to be about this, this. So they have to persuade each other in English and we can vote. If you want, you can read all the books that you want, but then you can tell them like, okay, if you all like different readers, different stories, you can all read the story you want. That's okay. You don't actually have to pick one, only one. But that's a really interesting way to get students to talk, to share ideas. Now they have to convince their classmates as well. So they are really going to be paying attention to each other, their ideas, and so on. And because they have the text, right? The cool thing is that, sometimes students are like, oh, I couldn't understand something. And you're like, okay, what is it that you couldn't understand? Like, I'm here to help you, but tell me. And they're like, oh, I have no idea. I just don't understand this part. So the cool thing is that if there's something they don't understand, they can take a screenshot of that part, or they can copy it, and then they can bring it, or even we can use this as a reading activity later, and we can use this to work on vocabulary, for example. So it literally took 5 seconds to find all the stories I wanted, and there are so many things that we can do with them. We can plan a whole lesson just talking about them, just using them. So it's a really cool platform. This one does have a premium version. Yeah.
Vision.
Oh, let's see. All right, there we go. I saw some people were asking about the platforms that we use, the names and everything. So here you have them. So we planned a very, very, very complete lesson. So we have activities for latecomers. We have a warm-up. We're going to get to know each other a little bit. We're going to talk about our summer. Students love talking about the things they did during summer. We're going to work on reading. We're going to work on listening. Students are going to use their English. They're going to write. They're going to speak. We teachers are going to be able to see if they really understood the things we talked about, or that we read, or that we listened to in class. And we have a really nice and different task for homework. So that's it from me. Thank you guys very much for joining today. If you happen to want to download this presentation, you can scan the QR code right here. And also here's my Instagram account, as Rob said. If you happen to want to find some more ideas, there you have them. All right, cool. Thank you guys. Glad you liked it.
Thanks, everybody, and thank you, Pilar, more than anything, for your presentation. It's always great. I get so many ideas. I wish I don't teach these days. Many years ago, I worked as an English teacher as my first career, and I remember having computers in a sort of 6 computers in a room for students to share, and we had a dial-up modem that made a horrible noise. Yeah, things have changed a lot since then. So thank you so much for all of that. Do we have any questions? We've got the chat coming up here. Does anyone have any questions that they want to ask Pilar at this point? So there are loads of wonderful comments coming in, as I would expect. Some applauses. I can see Norma says, thank you, Pilar. Marina says, thanks. Emil says very clear. Jose Alfredo, wonderful, awesome, lots of ideas. So any questions from anyone? Or if not, we're going to say, we're going to thank Pilar and let her get on with the rest of her evening, and we'll move on to the next presentation. So thank you, Pilar. I think I can't see any questions. Oh, I've got one. Can you suggest? Oh, it's gone now. Can you suggest any? Oh, there's so many things. Can you suggest any IA to create fun games? That's a good question. Any particular?
Oh, yeah, Magic School. So as I told you before, it has lots of really interesting tools. Today we used one that I think is not that popular, but it has lots of tools, and it can actually turn activities and other things into games. ChatGPT can do it as well. Also, you can share a picture of the activity you want to use, or the text you're going to read with your students, and it can create games for you. You just have to write the right prompt, and that's it. Tell ChatGPT about your students, their level, and it's going to create it for you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Pilar. That was a great question from Agos Vaccarini. If I could encourage you all to do something, there are loads and loads of courses, and I say this because I did this myself a couple of weeks ago. I did some courses on LinkedIn that were free and were about prompt engineering. I'd always understood, and I'd always been told, that how you engineer your prompts will, to a large extent, sort of dictate how successful your use of artificial intelligence is. I had no idea. Until I did the courses, I had no idea just how much I needed to work on my prompts in order to get the information back in the form that I wanted it. So it's something to really take away from today. There are loads and loads of wonderful ideas, and I think that's been great. So Pilar, muchas gracias. Thank you very much. We always love working with Pilar, and she's an amazing teacher, an amazing presenter. So thank you very much, Pilar. And we're now going to move on to our next presentation. So our next presentation is another great friend of ours who's worked with us many times, is Paola Danesi. So Paola is a graduate English teacher from the Instituto de Enseñanza Superior en Lenguas Vivas, which I'm sure you've all heard of, where she teaches Language 3. She holds international certifications in TESOL from the Institute of Education, from the University of London, specializing in communicative teaching, sociolinguistics, and material design. She's also a tutor for Diplomatura en Actualización Pedagógica para la Enseñanza de Inglés en Primaria. It's always difficult to switch between English and Spanish, isn't it? A teacher trainer for Escuela de Maestros, see, I could do that one all right, Ministerio de la Ciudad de Buenos Aires, and the English headmistress at Buenos Aires English High School, which is an amazing place. She invited me to visit and talk to the kids. It was amazing. She's also an ELT author for teachers' books and a frequent presenter at ELT events. And I don't know where she finds the time to do all of that, quite honestly. So I hope you're all going to really enjoy her presentation. This presentation is called Positive Classrooms, Positive Minds. It's all about building classroom environments that inspire learning and growth, which is something I think we can all benefit from. So over to Paola. Thank you.
Hello, dear teachers and colleagues. I'm very pleased to be here once again. So I would like to thank British Council for inviting me this year to be part of the ELT Week in Argentina 2025. My topic is about positive classrooms, so I'm ready to share my slides with everybody. Okay, so the topic, it can be better timing, positive classrooms, positive minds, how to create positive language environments that inspire learning and growth. And with most of us here starting a new school year next week or at the end of February, I think that the timing is perfect to get together, to reflect upon our practices, and to share insights and new strategies to add to our portfolio of strategies to kick off a positive 2025. So let's get started with my agenda for today. As we always do, we are going to start with some key concepts, the rationale behind the practice. And today, the key concepts are from the fields of positive psychology and effective classroom management. Some ideas that we need to review, to refresh, and to bear in mind to be able to create the perfect conditions to inspire our learners and to promote deep learning. But that is a theory. So what we need in the classroom is the practice. So I will be sharing a teacher toolkit for a positive classroom with some very special ingredients, most probably the ones you are already using, but with a twist, but from a different perspective. So I hope you find them useful. And in this toolkit, there is this magic number 3. So we'll be unlocking the magic of number 3 in all the ingredients that we'll be using, ingredients and tools. Of course, with practical ideas, activities that you can use as from day one. Because remember, the beginning of the school year sets the tone. So it's a moment where we need to be super positive mindset, clear objectives, and obviously fair to create the best conditions in the classroom. And last but not least, final reflection to wrap it up and to go home and think about the things we're doing the first week. So let's get started. We know that a positive classroom environment is vital. It is fundamental to student success and to well-being. Because when students feel safe, valued, supported, and one more word that is not there, welcome, they become more engaged. And you know that the better they feel, the more engagement they can show, and engagement leads to learning. They take risks. And not only do they develop stronger academic skills, but also solid social emotional skills. Okay, that's from the perspective of our students, and that's okay. The main characters or important characters in the classroom. But what about us? What about us? What about teachers? We are also sharing the classroom with our students, and we also need this positive climate in the classroom to be able to overcome obstacles and to be able to boost their self-esteem and to help them navigate the 9 months of school life together. So what about us? What about teachers? Of course, a positive classroom environment is also fundamental because it leads to teacher growth, it boosts our motivation, and of course, our well-being, a super important topic that we need to also bear in mind, the well-being of our students and the well-being of us teachers. Because when we feel valued, when we feel supported, we like to innovate. We want to be there. We read about a new strategy or we see a video and we want to go to the classroom and try it out. And that creates more impact in the learning experience, more impact in the classroom. So it's a win-win. A positive classroom environment is beneficial both for students and for teachers because it is this space we need to grow, to succeed, to progress, to see mistakes as opportunities, okay, and to have a wonderful new school year together. And the first, as like food for thought to bear in mind, that our attitude, the teacher attitudes, is the heartbeat of the classroom. So we may have, you know what it's like, we may have the best plans, the latest resources, the most engaging activities, the best technology, but if our students don't feel safe, don't feel welcome and valued, learning becomes an uphill battle. So it is, I would like to connect this idea with a quote that very much used by educators worldwide, and it all started in 2019 in ASCD Annual Congress, this time in Chicago. You know, ASCD stands for Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development. And in this time, Mr. Dwayne Reed, a professional and educator from Chicago, in his plenary as a keynote speaker, he came up with this quote: students have to Maslow before they can bloom, using Maslow hierarchy and Bloom's hierarchy also as verbs here. And well, it really caught on and you hear it everywhere, but it all started there in this annual Congress in the States. And if you have a look, of course, you are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy and Bloom's taxonomy. And the idea is that in Maslow hierarchy, we have psychological needs, how to make them feel valued, how to make students feel valued, their self-esteem, the aim, the focus on relationships. Whereas on Bloom's taxonomy, you know what it's like. It's it's a hierarchy of cognitive skills that we generally use for learning objectives as well, from low order thinking skills to higher order thinking skills. So what's the conclusion? First, we need to meet the psychological and physiological needs of our students before we can go into learning. So with this in mind, this concept in mind, and this concept by Robert Fisher in his book, Teaching Children to Learn, in chapter 9 about reviewing and assessing learning. When I read this quote about self-esteem, it really blew my mind, and I usually share with colleagues and teachers at school, because it's like self-esteem is not related, it's not something that comes with us, and it's not related to family or wealth or social class or our parents' professions. It comes from the relationships with those who play a significant role in a child's life. So what we do, what we say, our gestures, they can all boost self-esteem or also undermine it. So, and this is crucial for a positive classroom environment, because you know what it's like in the classroom when you are able to give positive feedback and you make your students feel valued and supported. They are better prepared They are ready. They respond in a different way because they see that you care. So with these two concepts, we need to believe in the power of a positive classroom. We have to deeply believe in this power, because our words, our gestures, the decisions should be in sync, should reflect this belief. Only then will our classroom transform into a space of growth and inspiration. So we have the theory, we have some key concepts. We know that this is vital. It's the beginning. It's as if we were gardeners. We need to prepare the field for the flowers to bloom. Okay, and we need different techniques. We have different flowers, different plants. We have different students, different learning styles. So what's in your toolkit? Remember that we have the chat box here. So comments, questions, points you would like to bring up at the end of the presentation, as this is a recorded webinar. I will be meeting you online, and we have some minutes for Q&A, and of course, to share your ideas and discuss whatever you want to extend. So don't forget the chat box there. So what's in your toolkit? Do you have some like super effective strategies that you use in different levels that you adapt according to age? Do you have some like key activities that you use at the beginning of the year to set the tone, to show that this is a positive classroom and that they are welcome and that you are very happy to start a new year with them? Okay, so I'm going to share what's in my toolkit, and here is the magic of number 3. So for each of the tools that I have in my kit, I'm going to give you 3 different elements or 3 different perspectives. So let's get started with the practical part. So my toolkit, I have like 3 pillars, okay, to use as the foundation of my classroom. 3 daily habits. There are many, many other habits that we use every day, but these are the ones I want to highlight in this presentation. 3 effective tools and 3 boosters. Okay, when things go wrong, when the energy level is very low and you need some to activate minds, and so I have the boosters. So let's get started with the 3 key pillars. Okay, so connecting with Maslow before Bloom, we have to connect before we teach. And that connection is vital. So build trusting relationships with your students. I'm not saying something new, but you need to believe and you need to plan accordingly and connect with your students, bond with them. You need to invest time. It's not one day that you do an all about me activity. It's not that. It's start this relationship that you are going to build throughout the weeks along the school year, so the bond becomes more solid as time goes by. Plan with your students in mind. This is, I know, obvious, but we need to refresh this, because sometimes we sit down, we take the book, we see the syllabus, the objective is the international exam, and we plan with that as an objective, which is okay, but you have your students and they are the main characters. So design lessons that are relatable, you see, and that meaningful, that they see a connection with their interest, with the world, what's happening in their cities, okay? So you need to find this connection. And last but not least, empower and elevate. Help them, as I said before, the quote by Robert Fisher, okay, foster their autonomy, boost their self-esteem, because when they become the managers of their own learning, things progress more quickly, and they become, it's like a positive cycle, you see. They do something which is like to be praised. You praise, they become motivated, and more motivation leads to more risk-taking and to more learning. So we need the positive cycle there. So 3 key concepts, now practical ideas for the classroom. So from theory to practice, because the theory is always something that we can read in books. I have tons of books here about classroom management, positive psychology, growth mindset. But what do we do in the classroom? How do we implement all these key concepts into the daily routine? So I have 4 ideas here. This is a kind of index. When you get hold of the slides, then what comes after this is examples of this index. Okay, so when you see these orange shapes, so all about me, we always do. So I'm going to give you some extra ideas. This is us, guess and win, and when two circles meet. Okay, so let's start with all about me slots. I wrote slots because don't do it once. Very often teachers do it, we do it once, the first week or the second week, and that's it. Let's do something different. So there are many templates around on the internet, on Canva, or you can design your own template. So try to find different styles that are engaging and they are appealing and students find attractive. So maybe you give them one about family, next week about, I don't know, friends, next week about free time activities, next week about elementary level favorite things. You know what it's like. Okay. Or in week 3, after you have presented number 1 and number 2, you can ask them to compare many and to decide. So students, you're giving them choice. They decide what they want to share in the All About Me template, and they design their own All About Me template with boxes, with squares, with shapes they like. So this is the same All About Me, but created by students. And of course, they will be more engaged and you can put them up on display. So this is one idea. Or if you want your students to make something, especially in primary school, you can have this, which is very simple. 2 circles, you need 2 circles, white circles. One, you cut out this triangle, okay, and you use the brad pin here, okay. So instead of having a spinner, you put one over the other one, and they start moving the second circle, and you have like, I am, my favorite, my family. So you see only the slide. This is excellent for children because they are busy making and they feel very proud. For adolescents, maybe not this one, but maybe they can create a reel, okay, or something visual that they want to share, or they bring a box with their important things in life, something related to teenage life. And of course, everybody wants to talk about themselves. So this is fun, this is engaging, and this is connect for teach. And also you can use us in your diagnostic period because you see what they remember, where they can't express effectively, and you need to review, okay? So again, it gives you information, they have fun, and you start connecting. Or you can use week number 4. So here we are using the first month to connect. And you can use other topics from social emotional, from their social emotional skills, such as what can help when you feel down, when you feel angry, when you feel empty, depending on the age. Very interesting topics to bring into the classroom. Or you draw a heart and they include important things and people in their lives. So you can include feelings in the All About Me slots. Or you have your classroom decoration, another important element to have an appealing atmosphere and attractive, visually attractive. You can have in this classroom we, and you have the names of the children. This is us, which is not the TV series. So we, and you use verbs, and we, or this is us, and you use adjectives, or this is us, and you include classroom rules. Or this is us in week 3 or 4, and you say, okay, you suggest the topic, but you need to decorate the this is us board. So they need to get together, like team building. It's the problem that you pose. They need to solve it, and they need to decorate, everybody contributing. This is us, another activity. 2 more, guess and win. In guess and win, as you can see, this is very simple. All activities here are super simple, okay? And low prep, okay? This one especially, you can write words. This is about you because it's good to connect and to get to know your students, but they also want to get to know you. And they're very interested and they're very curious. So maybe you write not so many, 4, 5, 6 words that are important in your life, that they represent something about you, okay? So you write the words, and what they need to do is guess. And how do you go about this? Maybe they work in groups and they have to get together and write one sentence for each of the words. Imagine 2. Maybe they write, okay, we think that you have 2 children. We think that black is your favorite color. We think that you are a big fan of pizza, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So they have to write one sentence for each word. Because you have groups, you will have probably 4 or 5 versions. So that's okay. Individually, this would take longer. So groups read their versions and you allot 10 points for a correct sentence, guess and win. 5 points if there is something which is true in the sentence, but not completely correct. And 0 points if it has nothing to do. If they say you hate black, it's completely wrong, okay? Because I love black. Black is my favorite color, so that would be 0, okay? So the group with the highest score wins. And maybe they have to write something about you. They have to use that information and whatever comes up, okay, to write about in an email. This is my new English teacher, all right? Okay. When 2 circles meet, this includes a bit of movement and it's super engaging. You ask your students to stand up into circles. You can go out, you can leave the classroom and go to the corridor, to the yard, okay? Movement is also important to activate, okay? So there is an inner cycle inside and outer cycle outside. So students stand facing each other. You can play some background music. When they hear the music, they have to move, okay? Step by step. When the music stops, the 2 circles stop moving. And of course, you will be facing one student. And you can, I know, shout out the topic, family, favorite hobby, favorite band, or love is, or a sentence to complete. And they have to sort of tell the person in front of them and then the other person to the one from the inside circle. You can do this for several rounds. And after that, probably they can, if you want to integrate skills, you can ask them to write what they remember, okay? Or to say something that was new to them about their classmates. So again, another interesting activity. So we have 4 here. Let's do 4 more. Are you ready for more? 4 more? Okay, good. Common ground, me in one word, the pizza of my happiness, and paper balls galore. Probably you know them, probably you're using them. This is the way I use them with my students, and we have a lot of fun. I get to know them, and we do language work. I'm obsessed with the linguistic objectives. So it's okay, here I'm going to practice this. I'm going to refresh these concepts. So common ground, again, group work. If you have groups of 4, they have to find 4 things they have in common. Groups of 5 members, 5 things they have in common, okay? So they need to say, I don't know, we all like, we don't like, we get up, we do this after school. You can always work on the board, like scaffolding, language chunks. So you activate, remember that these are the first weeks, okay? So the language may be a bit rusty. The pizza of my happiness, another of my favorite activities for the first weeks. You draw a pizza on the board and they have to cut out 6 slides. On each slice of pizza, they need to write something that makes them happy. There you have some language information. I adore, what makes me happy is, I can't live without. So imagine teenagers, they always write friends or cell phone or something, a tech tool, a tech gadget. Okay, so here you have 2 more. Me in one word. This is great also. You have to ask them to think of one word that really describes them. It may be an adjective or it may be their favorite hobby, something they are passionate about. Which would be your word? If you ask me, I think that creativity is part of my life, and I need creativity in the classroom. I need creativity. I think it's my energy, okay, my fuel, all right, in life. Not with cooking. I'm not a good cook, but creativity would be one. Okay, maybe they say football. Maybe they say friends. Okay, maybe they say organized. Okay, so something that describes them in one word. And of course, they expand. Paper ball fight, super engaging and big fun. They take a sheet of paper and they write 2, 3, 4 sentences. They can draw some emojis. Okay, you have different varieties about themselves. So you make the paper ball, and when you say fight, okay, so they toss the balls and they say, okay, let's stop. So they have to pick one, okay, open, read, and say, okay, I think this is Susan because she's a big fan of Susan. Is this you? No. Oh, mistake. I think this is okay. So you have like natural conversation, and of course, it serves two purposes: connect before you teach and get to know your students. Are we okay? If you have any other that you recommend in the chat box, because we are together to go with all these ideas for the first weeks in the classroom. So we can read this later in when we get together. Okay, so we move on from 3 pillars to 3 daily habits. And these again are obvious because the habits, we need to establish routines. Students feel welcome, safe, and okay in the classroom when there is a routine, a clear routine. You know, it's like their anxiety level lowers, you see, declines, and they are ready for to work with you in the classroom. So start with a smile. Smile sets the tone, okay? Warm greetings, all right? But they have to be genuine, all right? You know that energy we transmit, energy is contagious. I'm a firm believer that that is the way. And forget teaching, forget the classroom. Think of a moment in your life. For example, when you go and exchange a present, especially in our country, okay? So you have a present, you go to the store. If the shop assistant greets you with a smile, what can I do for you? You feel bad, you feel okay. Now, if the shop assistant doesn't smile, doesn't looks at you with an angry face, I don't want to be here, you don't want to be there either. So sometimes I feel, why am I doing this? Okay, you'd rather leave the present and leave the store. So smile changes the atmosphere, okay? Smile makes you feel she's happy with me here, and you have to transmit that concept genuinely. Be approachable, be present, be close, okay? Show that you care. If they come up to you and they say, I don't feel well, I lost my pencil, or I can't find, okay? They become very anxious sometimes because everything is new at the beginning of the year and they need you there, okay? So stay with them, all right? And help them with whatever obstacle they have, okay? They really appreciate that and they show that you care, so they respond differently, especially the difficult students, okay? And then one of our like objectives in the classroom, spot the talent, spot the magic, spot their unique strength that probably they don't see, especially the difficult students, okay, the ones that cause more trouble in the classroom because they are used to the negative comments. So when you bring the positive comment, they are like, they can't believe that themselves, you see. And even if you write, once I wrote a very nice message to the family about something different in the classroom, and the bond changed, okay, it became so much better that we were all very happy with the change, you see. So recognize unique strengths and talents. Okay, that's a theory. Practice, what do? We smile. We look in the eye, please, when they're talking to you, okay, make eye contact and listen without the rush, okay? Sit down and listen. Listening, active listening is an act of love, okay? And you can have like morning greetings, fun at the beginning. Yesterday or the day before, I was watching a video, a reel, and it was a group of adults going into the classroom for a specific subject, and the objective of the day was to go into the classroom with a funny walk. The fun they were having. Okay, so that sets the tone for the classroom. So maybe come into the classroom, so you can leave a sign with a funny walk, with a crazy hairstyle, okay, with a different gesture, okay, with a funny gesture, all right, or you can prepare them even better and bring a crazy hat or bring glasses for Friday. So it's just a detail, but it shows that you like to do something different with them, not only teach grammar and give out photocopies. Show that you care. Communication channels open, be approachable, okay? Be close to them, watch them when they play, watch them, monitor what happens in the classroom, outside the classroom. Leave a box. Sometimes if there is anything you want to tell me and you don't dare, you can write it down in English or in Spanish. You leave it here. I read and I come up to you. Leave time for one-to-one conversations, short, okay, but that shows that it shows that you care about the relationship and about your students, not only about their grades. And the magnifying glass to spot something unique about your students. One more for my toolkit. 3 game-changing tools. So let's have teaching that sticks, teaching that relates cognitive skills, and it's like for life, okay, not only to pass the test. So 3 key elements. Active learning. Students learn when they do things. We have repeated this many times, but students don't learn by being like sitting all the time and completing photocopies. So they need to engage their minds. You need to engage their minds. They need to have hands-on experience. Personalization, another key ingredient in a toolkit. Children, adolescents, and even adults want to talk about themselves, something that is relatable, something that resonates with their interests and their lives. And mix it up, okay? Use variety, okay, as a key ingredient. We all get bored by their routine. We know that the routine is important, but elements of surprise need to be added. So, which formula can I recommend? Theory to practice. Whenever you see this board, here you have practical ideas for the classroom. This is a formula I use many times, and it serves many purposes. We have fun. We don't need photocopies. It's low prep. It leads to a lot of active work, personalization, variety of skills. I integrate reading, listening, writing, individual work, pair work. So very simple formula. You start, can you guess? Can you guess? You start with a scrambled word. A good hook to grab attention. Maybe you're writing in the chat box, which is the word? Can you guess? And the word is breakfast, okay? So we have fun, okay? And then what do? Look, these are 6 suggestions. You can continue and add more. So you can do complete the sentences. For typical sentences I usually have. I have breakfast in, at, with the time. Today I had, simple past, whatever your students can use and whatever you want to review. Complete sentences. So they are reading, they are writing, and then of course they read aloud. Now I'm going to show you. Surveys, this or that. Reading about healthy breakfast, comparing types of breakfast, and creating the highest cognitive skill in Bloom's taxonomy. So let's go to the next slides and see the examples of each. So you can write on the board. You can also take a piece of paper and write. For breakfast, I always have. I never have. I usually have breakfast at. Okay, now read them aloud. So you have 20 students reading aloud. Blah, 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 blah. Collect them all. Okay. Who said? And you take one and say, for breakfast, I always have coffee. I never have fruit. I usually have breakfast at 8. Who said that? Maria. Yes, Maria, good. 1 point for you. And let's see who gets the highest score. So there is listening, reading, speaking, blah, blah, blah. That's one I love doing. They all participate and want to contribute. Surveys. Have a look at this formula for surveys. I draw like this box on the board and I write the 4 options. I pose the question. What is a typical breakfast at home? What is your typical breakfast? So no breakfast, only coffee, full breakfast, or fruit and yogurt. Okay. So, and then you have the names, Mary, Tom, Peter, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So what do? They come up to the board and they write their name under the correct column. Okay. So then when this is done, you have to read from the framework. So you have to read like Mary has no breakfast, okay? And Tom and Peter usually have only coffee. So they have to read the results. And then after that, you can write some sentences about results from the survey, okay? Or, and I use this, I highly, you can adapt this to different topics. What time do you usually go to bed? 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, after 10, at midnight, okay? So it gives you also topics for discussion and to talk about sleeping habits, okay? What's your favorite tech gadget? So you write cell phone, computer, tablet, okay, video games, and you can see that. So it's like a very good engaging hook to do a lot of language, okay, and without protocols. Let's move on, comparing and contrasting, this or that, this or that, so they can stand up. Go to this wall or that wall. Tea or coffee? Full breakfast, okay, fruit or toast, okay? And they can also suggest, they can also be the one who give the options. Students can give the options, so they all have fun. And you will see visually who has coffee, who has tea, okay? Comparing different breakfast types of breakfast in the world, my favorite breakfast. And last but not least, the boosters. You know, when we had the pandemic, we needed vaccine boosters, okay? We have boosters for skincare. Okay, these are the boosters for the classroom, okay, to elevate the learning experience. When energy is low, when you see that everybody is getting bored, you know, that boredom is the signal. Don't be angry, don't be angry, don't get angry. Boredom is the signal that the mind needs to do something different, something meaningful. So stop what you're doing. It's a reading. Okay, we're going to stop here. We're going to try something else. So you renovate and you energize the classroom again. The booster, the C booster, you must have heard. It's not the 4 C's. It's the C of curiosity, the C of critical thinking, and the C of creativity. People, we are naturally curious. So when you arouse curiosity again with, do you know? Who can tell? Is this correct? Okay, again, that's a hook. Critical thinking and creativity, as you will see now. Brain breaks, movement, okay? So you have lots of examples in YouTube or on the internet, okay, to do different movements to give this fresh air to the brain and to activate the brain once again. And fun, leave space for fun. Cultivate curiosity in the classroom. So what do? What is curiosity? Curiosity is this desire to learn, to know. So we need to tap on the curiosity, okay? So they will be like ready, more open to the new stuff. From theory to practice. So what can we have? Curiosity corner. So if you're doing science, if you are doing, if you want to relate topics of the world, okay, or the sustainable goals, you say, did you know? Is this correct? Find out. Question wall, give me questions about, this is the topic, what do you know? So they all have to, you can give them post-it, I know that, I don't know if, so you use the language that you want to refresh, but arousing their curiosity. On Friday, you collect some of these questions and they go home and they have to prepare questions for trivia or research questions with the family, and they have to bring the information on Monday. This is one way to arouse curiosity. Creativity in connection with fun. Creativity means create something new. So the create something new can start with very simple things, with shapes. You're teaching shapes. So create a robot, create a toy with the shapes, okay, in drawing or with real paper. Or you can go leaf hunting. This is what we did last year at school, okay? So we collected some leaves, okay, especially in autumn, amazing time for this activity, and create animals. In this time we created some butterflies, okay? So you can see there the butterfly, all right? And then we created stories, then we created the family of the butterfly. We did many things, and you can't believe the engagement. Or another time we did this, we created starfish, okay? We were doing dolphin, shark, we were doing sea animals, so why not a starfish? So we use these leaves from liquidambar trees, okay? And we put them one on top of the other, as you can see, and we created this very simple starfish. And then we aroused curiosity, creative stuff, storytelling. We created a story about, then if you're interested, contact me. Very simple. It was the starfish, Sally the starfish. She was all alone, the bottom of the sea, blah, blah, blah. So we created a story. They acted out the story. And then we did some CLIL, content language integrated learning. We read about starfish. You can't imagine the variety of starfish that exist, okay? Different types with different numbers of arms, okay? And then they created their own starfish. Odd one out. For critical thinking, we did activities with the leaves, odd one out, and why, that you know the odd one out. And of course, we started with thinking routines. That's another element that I recommend that you can have every time with every visual, what you see, surface level, what you think is happening, where do you think she's going, deeper level of thinking. And have you got any questions? If I wonder is a difficult chunk, you can ask, okay, ask the girl some questions, okay? So it's kind of different levels of thinking. Or word, phrase, sentence. I love this for higher levels. In a difficult text, find a word that struck you as powerful, find a phrase that engaged or provoked you, find a sentence that was meaningful, which is a sentence that summarizes the text. So it's not only true and false. You can do all these things with the text. I love this one. See, think, me, and we. See, think, me, and we. And you can use it with any visual, with a topic, with one of the sustainable goals, with a topic that you know will arouse their interest and they all want to participate. And what is this see thing? What I see, describe what you see in the visual, what you think about the visual, what's the connection of the visual with you, the connection with you as an individual, what's the connection of this topic with the world, with society. Isn't this amazing? I love this routine. So suppose you have this in the book, this visual. So what you see, what you think, what's you? How do you feel about this topic? And what is the world doing with this topic, for example? Or this one is a must for teenagers, okay? What you see, what you think. What's your connection with the topic of addiction, okay? Tech addiction, okay? Or you know that last year, the word of the year for Oxford Dictionary was brain rot. So you bring that and you say, why? Why brain rot? Well, so you see, it gives you, it opens the topic for discussion and learning. And if you remember, don't forget the fun. It was and have fun, all right? So when we have fun, we play games, we include humor, and we celebrate success. What do we do with games? Games, we have memory games, miming games, all the games physical games with a ball, okay? But let's do humor that sometimes we don't do in the classroom. Suppose we are doing something as simple as days of the week. Days of the week. We do that as from, I don't know, second form. So bring some memes, some funny posters, and they will have fun. They can run. This is the funniest. My favorite is number 2. Describe, there are. Whatever the language that they can produce, but the fun is in the poster itself. So if you have, I don't know, oh no, it's Monday again, they can do that as from first form. Oh, it's Monday. But if you have higher levels, look at this one. It can't be Monday. The gorilla, orangutan. No, it can't be Monday. Or phrasal verbs. Wind me up. It's Monday again. What's the meaning? What do you see and what do you think? And what's the message? There are many things you can do with this. You can read, you can write, you can explain the meaning, you can expand, they can give their personal opinion, and they connect it out. Look at the first one. I'm not ready for Monday. Can I have a Sunday? Can I have another Sunday? You can work on the can I. You have memes, my face when, all classroom scenarios, okay? My face when my teacher says, my face when students, I finish giving instructions and students ask me what they have to do. So means to act out, to have fun, and to review language. And when you say we're going to have this icebreaker, you're going to move in the classroom, and perhaps they're not happy with the idea. So we have these main characters from the office. Let's go around the room and say 2 interesting facts about yourself. Maybe we think it's super engaging and maybe they don't like doing that, or they're a bit bored by that. So you need to find a twist there. And celebrate, offer choice. We have finished the reader. We have finished the first month. We have finished whatever. We are in exercise number 20. Find a reason, okay? Offer choice. What you want to do? You want to watch a video, a movie. You want to have a celebration with cakes and blah blah blah. You want to organize a party. Offer choice. Send feedback to families. We are celebrating because, and we are very proud and very happy. The more you share with families, they are happy to hear. It's not only for negative comments. We shouldn't use the communication book for negative comments. Give them a call. Sometimes I call families. There was a little girl last year. I was walking. I had a painful knee, and she told me, "Say, are you okay?" And I was not okay. So she read my face, you see, a girl from, I don't know, a 10-year-old girl. So I told the mother, and she was super proud and very moved, okay, about this comment. Okay, so at the end of the celebration, okay, this is great, and we're super proud. So what was good? Reflect together. What was good? What was difficult? Can we set new objectives to infuse, to maintain, and celebrate positivity? Because a truly positive classroom is not a label. It's not an empty goal. It is an ideal that we must believe in and create with our actions, our words. If they don't resonate with the conviction of the promise of an inspiring environment, everything is lost. So embrace the belief wholeheartedly and let every gesture and every word reinforce that vision. Great teaching is not only about delivering content and teaching the present perfect. It's about creating an environment. We're always so worried about the grammar points, and we should be worried about their mental health and their feelings and how they perform because of that. It's about creating this environment where every child feels safe and welcome. I love this word. An environment they want to be in, they want to belong. And you can feel it when they stop you in the corridor and say, are you my teacher this year? Okay. And this starts with you. But I'm in the classroom. I have been in the classroom for many, 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 many years. And things go wrong. And when things go wrong, we become frustrated and we lose patience and we don't want to be there. Please don't go. Don't go with these negative feelings. Don't quit. Because this profession gives you a fresh beginning every single day, especially Mondays. And I have this quote, after all, tomorrow is another day, okay? And you can start from scratch the following day. There is this quote by a best-selling author that is, don't lose hope. Hope is like the air, we need air, okay, as much as we need hope. We are wrapping it up. That was a reflection. Any reflection, please share in the box, in the chat box. I'm leaving this for the first week, for the first month, and for the year. And areas to explore connected with positive classrooms, flow in the classroom, how to create this full engagement where students lose track of time, something to explore. Positive assessment, everything is perfect, but then tests are only written and you're only interested in grades. It's not in sync with a positive classroom. So positive assessment and kindness projects, how to feel empathy and how to feel compassion, areas to explore for 2025. So this is coming to an end. So the moment has arrived. It's just thank you. I hope you find the activities and the ideas practical, super practical, engaging, and ideal for the first weeks, okay? And I wish you all a super positive 2025. Let's meet now online. Bye-bye, see you.
Thank you so much, Paola. And Paola's now. This is the wonderful thing about technology. You see, we now have a recording of Paola, and now we have Paola for real. So, how are you, Paola? How are you this evening? I can't hear you, Paola. You're muted. I must be.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Is that
yes.
okay?
Must be one of the most
okay. And
common expressions in the
let me
world.
see. Is the volume okay, or shall I bring it up a little bit?
It's all good.
Okay, so I'm super pleased, excited, and as if I were starting first form, super excited, first day of school, and being here, day number 1, meeting all teachers, colleagues I know, with this special topic. So I would like to thank you. I submitted 2 or 3 topics, and this was the one you chose. And I think it was like the correct one, the most suitable before a new school year begins, because we need to start with this positive. I truly believe that there are many things we can do to bring a positive atmosphere in the classroom. And when things don't go well, because we have many obstacles, I know teachers, we have many obstacles, and life sometimes becomes complicated. We shouldn't lose hope, ask for help, start again, try to bring something positive, and Monday is a new beginning. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you, Paola. It's always great to hear your ideas. And I think, the wonderful thing about teaching, as you say, is sometimes it's difficult when we have a break in the summer and we have to go back and get back into the classroom and we feel a bit, where's my energy level? But it's what you're all doing as teachers, and everybody who's listening on this call now, what you're all doing is a really, really important thing. We can all see at the moment how unfortunately chaotic the world seems to be becoming. It's kind of getting worse and worse, and our role as teachers is really, we have such a challenging job, because you're there to try to
motivate,
motivate.
to make them feel that they can, to
That's it.
help them progress, to help them learn all the things that we have to face. People outside the profession probably have no idea of all the things we do in the classroom. And in connection with what you are just saying, this weekend I read and I shared with my team a nice quote that says, if you want to contribute to humanity, the best thing you can do is become a teacher. Because what we do really matters. What we do in the classroom, what we do today for tomorrow, what we do in the classroom, for the work in the classroom, and for life really matters. So I really try to make the teachers I work with feel valued, supported, because we really do a lot of things to bring a positive change in the classroom and in the lives of our students.
That's it. And it's trying to remember that at this stage of the year is important, because as you go into your classroom, you have the opportunity to have such a positive impact on people's lives. It doesn't matter how many students. I mean, it was common in the job I had to have around 200 students in a year, and I always think, how can you make an impact on these 200 different people? So I think Paola's given us some wonderful ideas to help us, and as we try and navigate the challenge,
the difficult waters.
Yeah, the 2025 is going to be difficult. So listen, everybody, I'm so grateful we've had so many people joining us today. It's been a wonderful, wonderful day. We've got 4 more wonderful days, which is brilliant. So tomorrow we have some excellent sessions. We've got a session on crafting dynamic environments for today's learner, and that's with a great friend of ours, Eugenia. And we've also got a session on screenless engagement strategies for practical ideas for active learning from Paola Rosanna Assad. So we've got some really great sessions this week. Tomorrow,
amazing colleagues.
Yeah, wonderful colleagues. So tomorrow, my colleague Mariela Masujama, who's our director of our English programs in Argentina, is going to be hosting the event. So I wish her all the best of luck. I thank you all very much for coming this evening, particularly Paola for doing such a wonderful session. And we got a question. We got a question from Gonzalo Toledo. Sometimes classrooms become a bit chaotic. How can I manage that? Any advice? Wow, that's one of could be a very long answer.
That's a hard one. That's a difficult one. Okay.
Paola,
yes, I couldn't agree more. We have all been there. We have all had a difficult time in a classroom, especially in secondary schools. So I would say, like, change, ask them to close the books, ask them to stand up, ask them to have 1 minute of breathing, you see, to stop the noise, or maybe to go out, maybe later to talk to the ones who started all the thing in the classroom, but try not to get angry and frustrated. We sometimes, it's hard not to lose patience, because sometimes some groups are testing you all the time, okay? But you are the adult, you are the teacher, so try to breathe and try to smile and try to talk to them later. Change whatever you are doing, okay? And talk to them. And if they see that you really care, maybe next time they're not going to do it again, or they're going to be, I don't know, a nicer in the classroom. I've seen very difficult children change. So I'm talking from experience. Don't lose hope. We can't win them all. I know, but very often talking, listening, and waiting. Things don't change overnight, you see. Then you see the results. So Gonzalo, I think that was your name. Okay. I hope the advice is useful.
Yeah, indeed, and try different things. I mean, I always used to be a very strict teacher, but then I started applying things that I applied to myself, like mindfulness. In the 1990s, I started doing this and having teenagers. It may sound very strange, getting teenagers to do breathing activities, but you know what? It worked. So it's the thing of having a system and a structure to how you work with your students. If there's a thing these days that we're not allowed to have sort of rules and punishments and stuff. And punishments, yeah, I get it. But if you don't have rules and a structure to how you work, then it's quite common for that to be one of the reasons why you're having behavioral issues in your classroom. So it's a tricky one. But anyway, that's enough for this evening. We'll see all of you tomorrow, I hope. And
tomorrow.
It's wonderful to see so many provinces represented. I've seen messages here from one there from Natalia and Santiago del Estero, from people from Córdoba,
Natalia,
Rio Gallegos.
Yes, I can
wonderful.
See.
So thank you so much, everybody.
Hope to be in touch. And if you need any of the ideas or any of the activities or the slides, do contact me, okay?
That's the
to
stuff.
the people there in the chat box.
Thanks, Paola. Thank you very much. And
my pleasure. My pleasure.
Have a great evening.
The same. Goodbye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.